Hey guys, welcome to another video. I've been kind of slow about getting these videos out, but I'm going to keep producing videos as long as I can. We're almost to deer season, and so I'm going to be filming my deer hunts. And but today I thought I would make a short video on woodsmanship or woodslore. Some things maybe that I've learned through years of hunting or that I've learned from other people, etc. You know, in today's 21st century, our lives are completely and totally different from what it would have been back then. The culture would have been completely different. Total different mindset back then. Nowadays we are so busy, wrapped up with making a living, and they were back then also, but today it seems like life is more demanding, and with all the technology and everything, I think that we have lost some of our common sense woodsmanship, because now we have the sprays. We can spray ourselves down and be scent free. We got all this technology, we got maps on our phones, we got deer apps, all these things, and all of that's fine. I'm not against those things. I've done those things myself, but there's something about the traditional, getting back to the traditional, just common sense, woodslore, woodsmanship, I guess you could say. I think we've lost a lot of that. And I enjoy it, so that's why I do it. But to get us started, I guess one of the things, and it's just a very simple, common sense thought. Here in Missouri, we have a lot of brush. We have a lot of undergrowth and brush, as you can see behind me. And so some people like to, when they're deer hunting, they call it still hunting. Now, in an 18th century sense, back then, if you were a woodsman and you're on the frontier, whether you're hunting or not, you probably want to apply some of these things just simply because you're probably in hostile territory. So it's not just deer, animals that you're stalking, but you got to be aware of your surroundings because of enemies. And so, just moving through woods, nowadays we have the spot in mind we want to get to. We put our head down and we walk and get there, and then we sit there and wait for deer to come by. There was some of that in the 18th century also. But what I'm talking about is more of the still hunting, just moving through the woods. Moving several yards and then stopping, moving slowly and stopping. And whenever you stop, don't just stop anywhere. As you're moving through the woods, pick out a spot ahead of you, let's say a tree, a good sized tree, the size of your shoulders or so. Move to that tree very slowly and then stop by the tree so you have cover. If you're deer hunting, deer see movement more than anything else. That's in scent. So you got to be watching the wind. Try to have the wind in your favor, which would be in your face as you're moving. And then when you do stop for a while to watch and listen, that way you're by cover. If you happen to see a deer before they see you, or in the 18th century, possibly an enemy, you're not caught in the open. You're there by cover. You have a tree for cover, so that you have the ability to move. Let's say get your rifle in, up to your shoulder or what have you. You have some cover there to hide your movements from the deer or the enemy or what have you. So, just a very simple trick. And as you're moving through the woods, you don't just stomp through the woods, watch your footing, but also be looking around. Don't just look down and up, but look around you, and be aware of your surroundings. Nowadays, that's a common thing I see people. You can walk through Walmart and everybody's walking around like this, and they're paying no attention whatsoever to their surroundings. And I think sometimes that carries over into the outdoor world. You want to get to your stand so you can get your stand and pull your phone out and scroll through Facebook, and you're not paying attention to what's around you. And next thing you know, there's a big buck at 30 yards, and he's looking right at you, and you have your phone in your hand and you weren't ready. So that's kind of what I'm talking about: being aware of your surroundings and moving slow, looking all the way around you all the time, just paying attention. Another thing that we have heard about or think about, like maybe in an 18th century sense, when you're out, let's say you're in enemy territory, and you're worried about, you want to start a fire to cook your meat or what have you, stay warm, but you're worried about smoke. So we've heard of these smokeless fires, and it's really very simple, and it's not that the fire makes zero smoke, but the way to have a smokeless fire is to find dry, very dry wood, small dry wood. Like this right here is a great example. This right here is standing. It's not laying on the ground, but it's dead. I mean, obviously dead and dry, because it's not picking up any moisture up off the ground. So if you break off stuff like this and use this for your fire, once you get flames going and it's burning, it's going to make very little smoke. I mean, I could start a fire here, and from 100 yards away you could see no smoke. So it's pretty simple. And if you just use the very dry wood, like I said, initially when you're starting your fire you might have some smoke, but after the flames and the wood actually starts burning, the smoke pretty much goes away. And if you're careful only to use dry wood, it'll continue to do that. So that's one way to make a smokeless fire. Something else, guys, to go along with, I was just talking about smokeless fires a little bit. If you're out on a solo trek or something, and if the weather's cool and you want to sleep by the fire, another trick to help you stay warm, to make sure you don't have to get out of your blanket to replenish the fire. If you sleep close enough to the fire and have your firewood within reach. If I'm wrapped in my blanket, fire's here, and I'm wrapped in my blanket, and I wake up and the fire's almost out, I can reach, put wood on the fire without ever getting out of my blanket. Stock it up, go back to sleep. Just a very simple trick that one can do to keep warm. You get out of your blanket, you lose all the heat that you have in here inside of your blanket, and when you get back in you have to replenish that heat again. So that's a little trick that you could try out sometime when you're out on a trek. Another little trick as far as fires go, and let's say you have a shelter, with a tarp or what have you over it. If the weather is cloudy and you're afraid that it might rain or even dew is going to make your wood wet for the next morning. Let's say you have a fire going in the evening and you and your buddies are sitting around, you're talking, you don't think about the next morning. You pile a bunch of wood on the fire, go to bed, get up the next morning, and you have to try to find some dry kindling. And let's say there was a heavy dew. Well, if you just simply take some kindling, some small pieces of wood and put it inside of your tent underneath your tarp. In the morning, you don't have to get up and try to find any dry wood. Just simply get what's under the tent, come out here and replenish the fire. And just another simple, common sense trick just to help you out when you're out on the trail. I've been out on a little scout / small game hunt this morning, and we've had drought this year. We're really dry. As you can see, I'm standing in the creek bed itself. This normally has water in it year round, and we've just got pools now. And when you're trying to hone your hunting 18th century skills, this is a good place to start. You know, if I was hunting, this would be a great place to hunt because there's tons of tracks around this pool, and it's kind of fun to kind of go around the pool and try to identify all the different tracks of all the different animals that are coming in to drink. So I thought I'd show you guys that now, and I'm sure most of you know tracks and what they look like, but maybe for the few of you that don't, this might be interesting. So I'll get the camera and I'll show you some tracks here. So here's a deer track, of course. There's lots of deer tracks here around the pool. It's just littered with them. Here we've got a coyote track. Got too many of them around here. He was probably hunting too. Here's a raccoon track. Of course, there's lots of those around. Oh yeah, and here's a moccasin track too. You can see the outline of a moccasin track. Gotta watch out for them. Alright guys, I appreciate you all watching this video. Hopefully some of you may have learned some things that we can maybe put to practice out in the field. Many of you may already know these things and practice these things, but for some of you that may not, may be new to hunting or what have you, the 18th century trekking and what have you, these are things that you can try to apply while out in the woods. So anyway guys, until next time, y'all have a good one and stay free.